It's the debate we will come to in the coming decades.
Good sportsmanship. Do you know what that means? Play fair.
When I was a kid, cheating was pretty clear-cut. Like when the $1 Million Man hired the referee's evil twin brother to cheat the Hulkster out of his title.
Is that Dave Hebner, or is that Dave Hebner?
You know, cheating in other sports wasn't all that different. Remember when Joe Niekro was caught scuffing the ball with an emery board?
Something came out of his pocket.
Or what about when the Patriots were playing the Dolphins, and they hired an ex-con to clear a spot in the snow for the field goal kicker? You can't do that.
I think it's the most unfair thing that I've ever been associated in.
Or like when Rosie Ruiz won the Boston Marathon.
The mystery woman winner, we missed her at all our checkpoints.
Why take steroids when you can take a bus? And who can forget when Tanya Harding hired a goon to take out Nancy Kerrigan's knee?
Why?
I guess if you can't beat him with a lead pipe. But somehow, steroids seem kind of different.
I thought in undergraduate school and in college I was a pretty good athlete. But I find myself angry in my gut. Because these are the same guys who would have taken me out. Not because they had more God-given natural talent than me, but because they enhanced with artificial means.
If using steroids is cheating, seems like a whole bunch of other stuff should be cheating too. Take Tiger Woods, for example. He had LASIK eye surgery, and now his vision's 20/15. That's better than perfect.
My eyes are stable, my game's a lot better. I feel pretty good coming in.
In a game that relies so much on depth perception, wouldn't superhuman vision be a performance enhancement? Then there's cortisone shots. They helped Kurt Schilling win the World Series, and those are steroids too. Truth is, corticosteroids can have worse side effects than anabolic steroids, but they're used in sports every day.
He had a 20-minute cortisone shot after Monday's match after his back tightened up.
Here's an even more confusing example. Floyd Landis claims that he did not take steroids to win the Tour de France.
Truth is, I didn't use testosterone like I'm accused of doing. I didn't cheat. I didn't do anything outside of the rules. I won the Tour clean, and I deserve to win. I'm proud of it, and I always will be.
But he did sleep in his own altitude chamber.
I got my altitude chamber out by the garbage these days.
So you made this?
Yeah, it's not actually that hard to make. I didn't make the pipe. I just got the pipe from some construction site where they were putting in a water main.
Is the result pretty good?
For me, it makes a difference, yeah.
And how long did you stay in here for?
Sleeping there all night, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours.
Is your wife like, what are you
really
doing?
like
I'm going to go sleep in the chamber?
She hates it.
So you just climb in there?
Yeah, you want to try it out? You won't have a monitor in there, but I have it set to like about 13,000 feet.
See, sleeping in an altitude chamber produces a lot more red blood cells, which means more oxygen in your system, which means more endurance for a cyclist or a long-distance runner. There are 4 ways to increase your red blood cell count. You can sleep in an altitude chamber, like Floyd, or you could just train at the U.S. Olympic Training Center at 6,000 feet in Colorado. Then there's blood doping. That's when you draw your own blood a month before the big race, then re-inject it the night before. Finally, there's a drug called EPO, which simply tells your body to produce more red blood cells. So that's 4 ways to do the exact same thing, but 2 are allowed and 2 are cheating.
You done yet?
Hey, that's kind of weird.
No, it's nice, man. Once you get used to it, it's nice sleeping in there.
What's heartbreaking is my 8-year-old, his 2 favorite athletes are Barry Bonds and Lance Armstrong. My 4-year-old is obsessed with Floyd Landis. So what do you tell these kids? I talk to people all the time that they go, who can my kids believe in? And what I tell them is that nobody.
I ask not to be judged, and much less to be sentenced by anyone.
You can't trust anybody now because the testing is so ineffective. You don't know who's really clean, who's really dirty.
Were you taking any sort of drugs for that race?
Not what they find me with, no.
But you were taking other stuff?
Other stuff, yeah.
But isn't that still cheating?
Still cheating, yeah. Like everybody else.
So that's how you justify it, is like everybody's cheating?
Yes.
When I interviewed Ben Johnson, he just basically said, look, everybody was on something.
Well, Ben, and bless his heart, he's got to say that so everyone's on something. That's justifying his own means.
So he has a problem with you.
You have a problem. You have a problem of, me beating him.
Yeah.
When we were taking that victory stand, we were on the stand, and he got the gold medal, he didn't smile. He never smiled, he never celebrated, and the thing is, he couldn't really inside share in the joy of winning. He cheated.
You cheat. Everybody cheats. Nobody's in this world is perfect. Nobody's in his life is perfect. Nobody. They know that in 1988 that, 6 Americans at least test positive in Seoul, and they ushered up because the biggest money comes from America. So who's going to get shafted? Americans or Ben Johnson?
I think that Ben Johnson was unfairly singled out. I think that there's always scapegoats.
Is there a lot of drug use going on in Olympics?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Exum was the director of anti-doping at the U.S. Olympic Committee for 10 years. He thought his job was to stop drugs in sports, but his bosses had other priorities. He told me that over 2,000 American athletes failed their drug tests, including Carl Lewis, and they were covered up.
Nobody believes Carl Lewis ever failed a drug test. Do you have any proof?
Oh, certainly. We have just boxes of proof for everything that I say. There it is, book 3. Here's a letter from then Executive Director Baron Pittenger to Mr. Lewis.
I must confirm that analysis for your specimen B was positive for pseudoephedrine, ephedrine, and phenylpropylamine. Is that what it is?
Phenylpropanolamine, yeah.
IOC bans stimulants. By policy of the USOC, this finding is cause for disqualification from the Olympic team for the 1988 Summer Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea. Wow.
This was basically a letter that said that you had failed tests and that there was a consequence to that failure. As you all know, that didn't come about.
You actually received a letter or a call
Yes.
that you had failed a drug test because of some stimulants?
Yeah, it was like a cold medicine type thing, an herbal supplement.
They made up this term. It was called inadvertent use. An athlete took something without meaning to take it or without meaning to gain an advantage from taking it.
Mm-hmm. And so they made that up to basically kind of let people off the hook?
Oh, yeah.
Carl's story is it's been a cold medicine, it's been a tea, there's been some kind of a nutrient. It's a stimulant.
So you're saying these athletes, they know
They
what's on the banned substances?
totally know. I mean, they are bombarded with the banned substance list.
A lot of people say you failed a drug test, you raced against Ben Johnson, and that maybe the gold medal should go to the guy next place.
I understand. There are a lot of people that are going to go to their graves saying, I know he did it. And you know what? The hell with him.
You really cannot fault the athlete for doing that. You can't fault Carl when Carl's belief is that the system sets some rules and that you need to follow them. And they made an exception in his case. They made an exception in a lot of people's cases. But it's the system that actually teaches athletes to think that way. For me, the whole level playing field was a myth. If we could not do anything to take doping out of sports, then doping was meant to be in sports.
The first all-drug Olympics open today in Bogota, Colombia. Athletes are allowed to take any substance whatsoever before, after, and even during the competition.
Oh, he's pulled his arms off. He's pulled his arms off. That's got to be disappointing to the big Russian.
Yeah!
What has made every major sport multi-billion-dollar entities? Well, after you distill it all down, it's the desire of the customer, the fans that fill these seats and others, to see bigger-than-life people doing bigger-than-life things.
What do you think about athletes using steroids in sports?
Steroids? I love it if they're on my team. I think it's totally wrong. Totally wrong. First offense, throw them out. I ain't cheating. You kidding me? Ready, go. Oh!
It all gets back to money. As long as people continue to buy Mark McGuire shirts, Barry Bonds hats, we're feeding that monster. You vote for the Raiders by wearing the Raiders hat. You cast your vote for Nike with your T-shirt, Every day when you pick $1 out of your pocket, you're voting. And if you don't like, athletes juicing up, then don't vote to have that done. Don't buy their stuff. Don't go to the game.
Do steroids. Become governor. Be big and strong. No girly man. Go Giants, baby! Woo! Shotgun!
Woo! Since the steroid scandals broke, sports revenue has gone through the roof. People are buying more tickets, T-shirts, and souvenirs than ever. So if this is what we, the people, are voting for, why did Congress get involved? They always tell you that if you have a problem, talk to your congressman. Lucky for me, my congressman is Henry Waxman.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very nice to meet you. Chris Bell.
He's the one who called the baseball hearings in the first place. He's got to have some answers.
I think it's important for sports figures in major league sports not to be allowed to use steroids under any circumstance. And for young people, we certainly don't want them to be using it. So the drug is a restricted drug. It's not a, there's not a, let me see. Brian, is it illegal to use it? It's illegal. It's legal in some circumstances.
It's legal with a prescription.
Legal
Medical
with,
prescription.
Okay. It's legal with a medical prescription, and the other drug was the
testosterone or just steroids in general.
I think that they're also banned. They're already banned in professional sports. Brian, am I right? Speak up if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Well, these products are already banned. Cigarettes and alcohol are legally available, but not if you're under the age. And I think the age is 18 for both all around the country. Is it 18 or 21? I'm getting confused. What?
21.
Okay, so strike that.
That's all right. President Bush allotted $15 million for steroid education. Where has that money gone?
I don't know. Do you know? Okay, we don't know.
Okay.
So.
There's a war on drugs, and congressmen want to look tough on drugs, so they just demonize them all. And they say, oh, these are our children are being exposed to them, they're going to kill our children, and they just paint everything in black and white, and they really don't see the areas in between. For those of us who live in the gray areas and whose life depends on it, it's a very important issue.
Politicians are always looking for an issue to get behind. They're always looking for something to be able to say to the public, hey, look at what my legislation's doing. Look at what my bill has done. I'm out there. I'm protecting you. I'm protecting the children.
Turns out the most important witness at the baseball hearings was not a famous athlete. Taylor Hooton was a 17-year-old kid who committed suicide, and his father blamed steroids.
I believe the poor example being set by professional athletes is a major catalyst, fueling the high usage of steroids amongst our kids. And parents across America should hold you accountable for behavior that inspires our kids to do things that put their health at risk and that teaches them that the ethics we try to teach them around our kitchen table somehow don't apply to them. Please help us to see that our children's lives were not lost in vain. You have the power to do something about it, and we're counting on you to do so.
Donald Hooton coming in and putting a human face on it was more powerful than the statistics or any of that stuff.
On average, 5,000 kids a year commit suicide in America, and most parents never know exactly why. I wanted to find out why Donald Hooton is so sure that the answer could be as simple as steroids.
How you doing?
Fine.
Chris Bell.
Don Hooton, nice to meet you. This is a very, very competitive community, all the way from athletics to business. So you wind up in an affluent area where these kids can afford to play with this stuff. And of course, in hindsight, as we look back, all of the signs were staring us in the face. The behavior problems, the physical changes, but we had no idea what we were looking at. If we go back to the medical textbook, the depression that comes along with steroid use is bad, but it's worse in that 4 to 6 week period following stopping using this stuff. And it was during that period that his mother found him hanging on the door in his bedroom.
Taylor Hooton's dad, Don Hooton, called me shortly after Taylor had taken his life.
Together, we came up with the idea of creating a private organization
to educate the public about the dangers of anabolic steroid abuse.
This is Taylor's room. You don't have to come in here long to realize Taylor was a baseball player. I guess he started maybe 5 years old in T-ball, but Taylor was a great kid. We took Taylor to a psychiatrist, and she put him on a low dose of Lexapro. And as far as I know, this is the only steroid-related case that this well-meaning psychiatrist had ever had. And when the psychiatrist recommended that Taylor go cold turkey and stop using steroids, was a formula for disaster.
Well, I feel terrible, obviously, about Taylor Hooton, but Taylor Hooton had a lot of problems, and he was on other drugs. According to some newspaper accounts, he was on SSRIs, antidepressants, which have been shown to be associated with suicidal ideation and suicidal behavior. So whether his suicide was due to Lexapro or due to steroids or due to depression or due to stress of being a great athlete or 5 other things, I don't know.
Do you think that perhaps, when I look on the on your website for the Taylor Hooton Foundation, do you think it's a responsibility to include antidepressants in there just in case there are critics, or just to raise the awareness of how dangerous perhaps antidepressants may be?
No, I don't, and the reason is our battle's not with antidepressants. Our battle's with steroids.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse said the dangers of anabolic steroids are temporary and reversible.
My son is dead. All of the intellectual arguments about whether or not steroids are dangerous or not don't matter to me. I know they're dangerous. I saw it with my own eyes, and I watched my son die. The only evidence I need is the pictures of my son that are on the wall behind you.
Look, I have a son too, and the last thing in the world I could ever imagine doing is burying that kid. And it would probably ruin me for the rest of my life. And I could see where having a cause to sort of assuage the feelings of guilt and depression that are following my son's death would probably be, helpful. Let's not let this happen to somebody else. But they're chasing the wrong thing. They're not doing it right.
We're working with Major League Baseball to make that happen now, where, hopefully in each local stadium, there's going to be a steroids awareness night.
Do you find it ironic at all to have a steroid awareness night for baseball in a stadium that sells alcohol, which is responsible for a lot of deaths as a drug?
Alcohol's legal to sell, and we can argue all day long whether tobacco kills and whether alcohol kills, and there's a clear distinction in my mind between tobacco or alcohol and steroids and methamphetamines and coke.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
All right,
I know how hard it could be and everything, and
this is important stuff.
Anybody who asks me about it, I let them know. I tell them why. I tell them, how much I take. I'll tell them anything they want to ask me about them.
What about the kids?
The kids are different because a couple kids asked me in front of the whole group, and I had to lie about it because this whole steroid thing is just out of hand.
I know Coach Bell doesn't take any steroids. He's just 100% strong. I think somebody asked if he was ever on steroids, and he said no, and I completely believe him. He just teaches that steroids are basically, there's a cheap way out of doing hard work.
Listen, they're not for kids. Steroids are not for kids. That's plain and simple. You should achieve some things naturally, and then maybe you should think about them when you're, an adult.
The main reason why I don't take steroids is because he got into my head that I don't need them, that I got the potential right now as a teenager to get as strong as I want.
What good would it do them to know that I take steroids? It wouldn't do them any good. They'd just be like, oh man, he's a cheater.
Would you ever tell our parents that you do it?
If they ask me.
I only cook 2 pounds. I hope it's enough.
We went to church all the time. I grew up in a great family. I don't think I could ask for anybody better to be parents, And when I went to USC, I didn't do any drugs. I didn't do anything. So
you're a good boy.
And then I got to a point where I actually tried steroids. I tried Winstrol, which is injections.
You injected a needle in yourself?
It's just in the muscle.
Yeah, because you get to a point where you're like, I'm kind of getting out of shape. I don't feel like I used to. The reason I stopped doing it was because I thought it was immoral. I thought it was so wrong and what if my parents found out I did this?
I think it's really hard to hear that you tried them and everything, but...
for you. It's not hard for me.
What I'm saying is that it's hard to hear it. And what about Mark? How come you're staying big but you're not getting fat? You're just old.
I'm getting fatter.
No, well, your face is rounder than normally.
I put on body fat. You're about 7 or 8% higher than you normally are, wouldn't you say, for how much heavier you are?
I have no idea. I don't really care either.
He's already married. He doesn't care.
Except Smelly's not saying anything. Don't let your brothers overrun your conversation.
When you get caught with something, I think the truth is always the fastest way out of the situation. But it's not always the best way out.
You know, she's concerned, just being a mom, and she's just trying to, leave it open where I could say, yeah, you know what, I do them, and this is why, and I think that's what she's looking for. But she still never directly asked me, so until that time comes, I ain't saying nothing.
People have a tendency to cheat at everything, and that happens with taxes too, just like it could with steroids or any other thing. It's human nature. It's the sinful nature of man.
My dad convinced Mad Dog and his wife to settle down in Poughkeepsie, and he's been doing income taxes for the same guys he used to wrestle with.
I keep a couple things around, not too much. Big John always keeps it real. This just says, to Mad Dog, thanks for everything.
Not exactly how he thought his life would turn out.
When I get up, I go to the office, I make money for them, I make money for me. I got a great wife, I got a great family. But I wanted to be a famous wrestler, and I wanted to live the life. I wanted to be on the road, traveling, meeting people, making money, having fun, living the life.
He'll break down and he'll be crying and he'll say, Dad, the biggest fear I ever had in my life is being average Joe, and I'm 36 years old, and that's all I can see for myself.
What do you want to do now? Like, where do you see yourself going?
I mean, the immediate goal is to, get out of Poughkeepsie, move to California, establish my name, and then start my own business eventually.
It seemed like he was making good progress, okay? But he wasn't making any progress. I told him the other night, I said, you might be fooling everybody else, but you're not fooling me. You're full of shit. You're still on stuff.
Why do you think he wouldn't tell us about it? He tells me everything else, that he's done.
I think he's partially embarrassed, and I think he's, that's part of the addictive behavior. His thing is this: I'm going to be fine as soon as I'm out of here. I'm going to go live in California. My life is going to be perfect. But if he really believes that, no, he's not going to be fine at all. Here's why. You know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for Nadine. Because here's a young girl who's married, whose hopes and dreams and life is in him, and he's a screw-up. And if he ends up overdosing and killing himself, or if he ends up on the rocks, he's taking her with him. I'm not moving out there with the hopes and dreams of, I'm not going to go wait tables and hope I'm going to be an actor. I already did that for 15 years for wrestling.
You're going to get noticed?
I'm not moving out there to get noticed, but you're never going to get noticed in Poughkeepsie. In Hollywood, you're walking down the street, somebody sees you, hey, you got a minute? You never know. You just never know.
You don't think there's any way you can get past it?
A miracle. I'm serious. Yeah, I think they're going to find him dead someday.
I thought bringing up boys, this is easy. At least I don't have a daughter who's like got her face in the bowl throwing up. Did I do something as a mother to make you feel like not good enough? When Mike went off to college and he calls your father up and says, "Can I try steroids?" No, you're not getting money to try steroids. We both thought that was like a crazy thing. So.
But do you know where he ended up getting them from?
No, but I wasn't going to.
He got them from your brother John.
No.
So it's something that's like, in our family. It's something that when.
Chris, you're already killing me with this as it is.
Well, it
just gets worse.
I'm just telling you the truth.
I'm just trying to tell you how I feel as a mother. I am broken to my soul. My heart is broken. When you were growing up, Hulk Hogan, look what he's saying. Take your vitamins, say your prayers, and what?
Believe in yourself.
Yeah, but it's not true.
I started working out.
Take your steroids, okay? I don't know if he ever prays or not. Never heard him talk about God in his whole life, okay? Now that time has gone by, I'm like, is this guy a fraud? And that's where I think that everybody needs to begin to accept. I am who I am, said Popeye the Sailor Man. He even was a gyp.
He had to take spinach.
He had to take spinach. Everybody needs something. What's up with that?
If I just accept who I am right now, isn't that just giving up?
No, accept who you are as a person. then your body image is something different. You think a fat person hasn't tried everything that's legal? But I'm not going to cross the line. The Bible lays everything out about how to live your life.
But the Bible can't solve all your problems.
It can.
I can't pray to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not going to happen.
No, you can't pray to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but neither can you take enough steroids or enough human growth hormone to look like him
But
either.
you can get as close as
You're not. It's not going to happen. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Every sinew in your body, every muscle, every fiber was made by God, and you're exactly who He intended you to be. And so what to somebody with a six-pack of abs? Maybe they don't have what you have. I mean, you know, why don't you ever think that way too? What I don't get is, why did our boys not feel that they were good enough?
My father or my grandfather never worried about whether they had a six-pack of abdominals or what percentage body fat they had. So why is it now, you know, in the 21st century, that there's this huge preoccupation with body image that just didn't exist before?
Dr. Harrison Pope is a psychiatrist who studies why American men are becoming more obsessed with their bodies.
So here we have G.I. Joe from the 1960s. This is when he first came out at the time of the Vietnam War. He's a perfectly normal-looking dude. Here is G.I. Joe from about 10 years later, from the mid-1970s.
He's got abs now.
He's clearly been putting in some time in the gym. And then here is G.I. Joe from the 1990s. Bicep is up to 16 inches or so, full six-pack of abs, even got serratus muscles visible on the side. This evolution in the action figures is a testimony to this increased preoccupation with body image that we've been seeing in the United States. And it's funny that in our culture that we still tend to romanticize steroids to a certain way, that you'll see an ad for some SUV, you know, that says, "This is our sedan on steroids." But you wouldn't see an ad for an SUV saying, "This is our sedan on cocaine."
Well, it's sort of like a golf cart on steroids.
It looked like an easy bake oven on steroids.
It's sort of economy on steroids.
Think of it as Apollo on steroids.
This year, the jet stream has really been on steroids.
Kosovo would be Bosnia on steroids.
Adding more U.S. trainers and advisors, essentially putting the current strategy on steroids.
We are besieged every day with images of muscular male bodies on TV, in the movies, in cartoons, on magazines at the checkout counter in the department store, you know, all of which seem to give this message that a real man is big and muscular.
There you go, just like that. Good, give me some good abs, Christian. That's it.
Saw Conan the Barbarian when I was 11. And at that moment, I said, that's exactly what I want to do. And I started to study Arnold and his achievements. So I started training with weights when I was 14. I started taking steroids when I was 16.
So you're advertising a supplement. So a guy like me goes and looks in the magazine, and I see Christian Boving, and I'm like, wow, man, I want to look like that guy. So I go and take Hydroxycut or some supplement because I think that I'm going to look like you. But what I don't know is that you were taking steroids. Do you have any problem with that?
That's a double-edged sword, my friend. How to answer this? If somebody looks at an ad with me in it and says, well, Christian Boving takes Hydroxycut, which I did, and I do, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't take something else. And if they choose to believe that that's the only thing I'm taking to look like that, then so be it. They should be smarter than that. Is it misleading? Possibly a little bit, yeah. But is it a lie? Absolutely not.
I'd say probably 80 to 90%, I'm not kidding you, of all the stuff I see in magazines is complete hogwash. It's ridiculous to me. I don't understand why there's this need in advertising to really manipulate things. The bone-thin fashion models, they get all kinds of eating disorders, and with men it's the opposite. They get the Adonis complex, and then there's all kinds of trouble ahead because you have all these kids who are like you and me when we were young, looking at all these people, and they're perfect. And how does that make somebody feel who's not as perfect as the people they're seeing? Not very good.
So this stuff I've tried, loaded with sugar. Tried this. Tried this. Of course, I've tried this. Everybody, I think, has tried muscle milk. Tried this. Tried this. Tried all these drinks. If Speed Stack weren't enough, you have Extreme Speed Stack.
The supplement industry is very unregulated. You don't have to have FDA approval to come out with a dietary supplement. That gives people room to come out with some, lower quality products.
This product says new legal formula on it.
I don't know what the old what the old formula really had in it. Belizean man vine extract.
I don't want any part of that.
Best if used by date and lot number on bottom of can.
Yep.
I always thought the health industry was about, health. Why does it feel like we're back in the Wild West?
It'll clean your teeth and curl your hair. The best in the West. I wouldn't be dead without a bottle.
Well, we can all thank the senator from Utah, Orrin Hatch.
Look how good he looks. I want to get his brand. That's what I want to do.
See, the health industry is big business in Utah. They make almost a quarter of all the dietary supplements in America. And supplements are a $24 billion industry. So you do the math. Making supplements used to be like making prescription drugs. You had to prove your product was safe and effective before you could sell it. Well, the supplement cowboys in Utah thought that was a real hassle. So they asked their favorite senator to change the rules around. And now you don't have to prove your product is safe at all. And the FDA has to prove that it's not safe if they want to take it off the market.
What is this red goop?
This is the Canadian version of Redline. We had to take out some of the ingredients that aren't legal in Canada.
Thanks to this deregulation, the supplement industry exploded, and all sorts of new and interesting people got in on the action.
Yeah, we were always a good team, whether we were selling drugs or whether we were selling a supplement like we are now. Jekyll and Hyde supplements, formulated to awaken your other side. Take this and all of a sudden you become the freak, the monster. Everybody wants to become a monster.
If Valentino can make a supplement, I bet anyone can do it.
Hola. How many guys you need?
I need 2 guys. We're making dietary supplements, and I just need a hand with a couple things. It'll be really easy. All I need you guys to do is take the white. What do you say? Boom.
First, you buy a bunch of really popular ingredients. But the trick is, I'm just going to use a tiny amount of each one. It's what we like to call in the supplement biz, pixie dusting. See, I can hide my secret formula behind the term proprietary blend and not reveal that it's pretty much just a pill full of rice flour.
This is a good way to make a lot of money. Don't sneeze in the supplements here.
But with all those expensive ingredients on the label, I can make this bottle for about $1.40 and sell it for $60. Thanks, Orrin.
We're in the supplement business now.
The scary part is that everything I just did is by the book. Well, except for the illegal immigrant day laborers. But hey, nobody's regulating them either. Now I just need a misleading advertisement.
They airbrush these guys a lot when you put them in magazines?
Definitely. There's all kinds of techniques and tools you can use to completely manipulate the body.
Really?
In fact, some of the before and after pictures, they could be done in the same day.
You haven't shot them in the same day, though, have you?
I have, actually.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Is this the self-editing part? I should keep my mouth shut?
I could take anybody and take a picture of them, make them look their worst. Think horrible thoughts, depression, and then through all kinds of ways make them look their best.
Just don't cut my nipple off.
All right, I see here. Good. 1, 2, 3. Good. We can take it a step further if we want in the befores and the afters. Basically, you can take somebody and make them a little fatter or shorter.
Are people falling for this?
They fall for it all the time, and it's beyond what I can understand because it looks so silly to me. But of course, I'm somebody who's had sort of an inside backstage pass of what's really occurred, and I've been part of some of these scams that have played out.
So, if unregulated dietary supplements are marketed like steroids and sold by people who are on steroids, is it any wonder that so many people are just taking the real thing? I mean, it's not like they're hard to get. You can cross the border and buy them from a pet store in Mexico.
Testosterone, 50 milligrams.
But it's for your dog or something, right?
Oh, it's for my dog. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. My dog's anemic.
Or you can buy them on the internet, like Mad Dog.
If you order it online, you can get the ship for $250 a kit instead of paying somebody on the black market $500 or $600 for a kit.
Or if you have enough money, you can get it legally. This is the annual convention for anti-aging medicine. Booth after booth of all the taboo performance-enhancing drugs. Stanozolol. Hey, that's what Ben Johnson used. Nandrolone. Isn't that what Sean Merriman got caught with? Oh, and human growth hormone. They say Marion Jones was taking that.
Human growth hormone usage has been rampant in baseball and other sports.
Athletes use HGH because it works a lot like anabolic steroids. And the best part is, there's no way to test for it. Here's how you get it. First, you go to your anti-aging doctor. Now, the doctor might not be a medical doctor, like in my case. He's a chiropractor. And chiropractors can't prescribe drugs, but that's okay. He just has another doctor write the prescriptions for him. But be careful. Prescribing hormones for anti-aging is a felony. So you can't exactly tell your anti-aging doctor that you're interested in anti-aging. Not to worry, though. Just use the words hormone deficiency instead. First thing, doc will want to do a little physical.
You have people come to you to try to get steroids?
Absolutely. But prescribing steroids, that's not what we do. Not at all.
But it kind of is what you do in a way, in a different way.
Next, you're going to get a urine test to check your hormone levels for 24 hours. That's a take-home test. You know, Scout's honor. Send in the test, and a week later, go get your results.
Get your labs back here. Urinary growth hormone output.
But here's the thing. Since the FDA's never defined what a hormone deficiency really is, well, Doc can pretty much interpret the results however he wants.
So you're a little bit low coming down. I'm going to bring those levels up to optimal.
Now, it may seem strange that the most controversial drugs in America are being prescribed using take-home tests, and in my case, by a doctor I never met. But hey, at least I'm not the one breaking the law.
Why don't you just get it legally?
I like getting it the way I get it, and it's cheap, and I can get it, anytime I want. And I don't think there's any real reason for me to. I mean, I don't want to go to a doctor. That's a pain in the ass.
You ever worry about getting arrested or the cops coming after you or anything like that?
I'm not all that concerned about it. You can justify anything to yourself, and once you justify it to yourself, then you just think it's cool. You think it's okay. So, in my mind, it's okay.
I pose the question to people and say, hey, if you had to take a drug with the side effects, known side effects, and the unknown effects of anabolic steroids to keep your job right now and support your family, would you do it?
Maintaining an erection is very easy to do with the appropriate chemical assistance.
Liquid Viagra, straight injected into the penis.
You inject this in your penis?
Yep.
Does it hurt?
Not really.
It's not just athletes and porn stars taking performance-enhancing drugs. Just about everybody's in on the action.
Probably the most common thing is what we call go pills. There's probably different kinds, but dextroamphetamine's the big one. They work wonders, they really do, especially you've been out there a long time and it's hard to stay focused.
What about you?
Yeah, they'll spin you right up.
Many parents may not be aware that their children are taking a drug by the name of Adderall to improve their academic performance.
Adderall is a powerful stimulant, very much like cocaine or methamphetamine.
It's not just for people who have a problem, it's people who think completely fine. I'd taken Adderall in college here and there to write a paper, and I said, this is fun. This is a fun way to write a paper.
Your test scores go up, and you're doing homework faster, so you can do more work.
All I did when I went to class, my friends tried to talk to me, nope, hold on. And I'd be doing all my work.
And for every performance, there's a way to enhance it.
So you take beta blockers to calm you down?
It actually doesn't calm me down. It prevents me from getting nervous.
Here we go.
But I was in college and I was having really, really bad problems with performance anxiety, and it was actually making me question what I was doing in the first place. A friend gave me beta blockers, and I just couldn't believe it. I felt like I could get up there and do exactly what I wanted to do, and I wasn't hindered by what my body was reacting to.
Blocking that adrenaline goes a long way towards enhancing performance.
So it's okay to enhance your performance if you're a pilot, a porn star, a musician, or a student. But if your job is to play professional baseball, well, somehow that makes you a cheater.
Do you feel it's cheating?
Not at all. Oh, no, certainly not.
There is no competition in music. This is completely unlike sports.
What about in an audition situation? Is there competition there?
Yeah, there is. And, a lot of people take them, and I don't see that there's a problem with it.
Was there any sort of moral bridge across when you did it?
Well, we're in the porn business, so there's not a whole lot of morals to begin with.
Amphetamines in baseball, they actually take the same pill as a go pill.
Yeah, for that.
In the clubhouse, they're called greenies, and some in the game say they could be more common than steroids.
In sports, you should play fair. In war, you shouldn't play fair at all.
I've got some men on a road, and it looks like a piece of artillery firing at us. I am rolling in self-defense. Shack.
In 2002, over Afghanistan, 2 American pilots on Go pills bombed a group of friendly Canadians.
I hope that was the right thing to do. Me too.
4 Canadian soldiers were killed. Doctors say the pilot's snap judgment to open fire is typical of someone on speed.
The pilots were charged with manslaughter, but they blamed their Go pills, and the charges were dropped. No other country in the world allows amphetamines in their Air Force, but in America, we require it.
You know, America's a very competitive place, and people will take advantage of really anything they can in order to help themselves in that struggle.
I hate to say, the amount of beta blockers that they've got me on right now, California traffic doesn't bother me anymore.
Really?
It's too easy to get it from a doctor. Like you say, like I can't focus in class, and a doctor prescribes it like automatically.
And when you got Adderall, you just went to the doctor?
No. It's just passed around at school.
It's passed around at school?
Passed around at school.
You turn on your TV, and we push drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have a headache, use this. If you have a pain in your side, use that. If you want to go to sleep, use this. If you want to wake up, use that.
We are the only country in the world that permits drugs of that kind to be advertised directly to the consumer.
The American pharmaceutical industry spends almost $5 billion a year on advertising, and we in turn spend $250 billion on their drugs. That's more than any other country by far. Are we the most unhealthy people in the world? Or do we just watch too much TV?
Everybody's on a drug. So why, because I'm on a drug, does everybody have to point the finger at me? Why am I the bad guy?
Because you're on steroids.
And steroids are bad.
To help children make right choices, they need good examples. Athletics play such an important role in our society. But unfortunately, some in professional sports are not setting much of an example.
Long before George Bush was the president, he was the owner of the Texas Rangers, a Major League Baseball team, with none other than Jose Canseco on the roster.
Do you think that the team trainers, the managers, the general managers, and even the owners might have been aware that some players were using steroids?
No doubt in my mind. Absolutely.
So did the president know that his players were on the juice?
You've admitted to using steroids in the past. Knowing what you know now about them, would you have done it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The National Football League has talked more about steroid testing or human growth hormone, and I know back in your day you've admitted that you did that. Your stand on that right now?
Well, I think it's good to do doping tests, and the trick always is to find a way of really doing true testing. Right. I think that we have to do something about the drug use in sports, and I think it does send the wrong message to our children.
So Arnold wants to crack down on steroids. But every year he sponsors his own bodybuilding show, the Arnold Classic. And they don't drug test at all.
It's unbelievable the shape this guy's in. I mean, how ripped they are, how big they are, how cut they are, their posing routine and everything. I'm so proud of them. I tell you, it's really amazing.
This year, Governor Schwarzenegger handed over the winning trophy to Victor Martinez, a guy who was busted for selling steroids just a couple years ago. And a few days before this competition, he was implicated in another steroid scandal.
The bodybuilder who won a competition sponsored by Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger this past weekend has been linked to a steroid investigation. A spokesman for the governor says Schwarzenegger did not know of Martinez's links to steroids.
Come on, Arnold. What do you mean you didn't know? Okay, let's compare. Here's Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was on steroids. 6'2", 235 pounds. And here's Victor Martinez, 7 inches shorter and 15 pounds heavier.
Give him a big hand. Come on, big hand.
You know, I've been calling Arnold's office for over a year to get an interview, but his people keep telling me that his position on steroids is very clear. So the only way to get an answer was to track him down myself at a place I knew he would show up, Muscle Beach. It was just a few weeks before the governor's re-election, and Arnold went to where he knew he could depend on support to cement his voting base. This was my big chance. I waited for hours. And finally, there he was. And there was this other guy, the tall guy, the one in the middle. He saw me. This is how politics work these days. The important thing when making an appearance is the photo op. The tall guy's gonna nod at me, then he's gonna point Arnold in my direction. Arnold, his instincts honed by years of being a huge star, instantly sizes up the situation, notices the various cameras, and decides to use me further his re-election bid. And instead of talking about steroids and the cheating culture of America, he compliments me on my biceps. And we end up on the cover of the LA Times.
Oh, there it is! Oh my God!
Not that I mind. After all, it was kind of like a dream come true.
Son of a bitch.
But I still have all these unanswered questions.
Let me tell you this, first of all. You can't knock Arnold, really, okay? Because the steroids didn't get him into that office that he's in.
But he basically comes out and he says, if you work hard and you play by the rules, this country's truly open to you. You can achieve anything. But did he get to where he is playing by the rules, or would he have ever even been famous had he not taken those drugs?
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's talk about other heroes. Let's talk about John Kennedy. He was a hero in the Navy. John Kennedy served as President of the United States, but John Kennedy cheated on his wife right in the White House when, with Marilyn Monroe and who knows how many others, okay? It's no different than biblical characters. Moses was a hero, but Moses was a heel. He didn't get into the promised land. He didn't do what God told him to do. David was a hero. King David was a hero, but David was a heel. He chased every woman in a skirt or in a toga or whatever they wore back then. Okay, every man is fallible, and even the people who were the prime examples of how to run your life in the Bible screwed up. They all screwed up. So people need to get off their self-righteous soapboxes and start loving each other.
We just need to go out there and do our jobs, just as you professionals do your job. No, all you guys lied. All of y'all, in a story or whatever, have lied. Should you have asterisk behind your name? All of you have lied. All of you have said something wrong. All of you have dirt. All of you. When your closet's clean, then come clean somebody else's. But clean yours first.
Hi, how are you? Last name is Bell, B-E-L-L.
I took the oath to serve you. I say to everyone here today and to all Californians, I will not forget my oath and I will not forget you.
A few months after I voted for Arnold, his people told Gold's Gym to remove all of his images.
What is the meaning of this? It's a dark day in Gold's Gym. They're taking down Arnold's poster.
You have a lot of respect for Arnold? Is he one of your heroes?
Well, he was until he took his shit down. You know, that guy's a traitor, man.
The gym feels different now. The old Arnold's gone. And somehow, this time, I don't think he'll be back.
So you excited to be out here instead of in Poughkeepsie?
Hell yeah, man. I got a job making 3 times as much money. My rent's just about the same, and I'm right by the beach, and I got a convertible. Right here next to the mirror, honey. Put a little muscle in it.
There you go.
Higher.
So what do you plan on doing here that you weren't doing in Poughkeepsie?
Geez, like having fun at life instead of hating life.
Think it'll help you, like with your problems and stuff?
Absolutely. I feel better already.
Now that Mad Dog's in California, things seem to be going pretty good for him. He got a job working as a trainer at a local wrestling school.
Now if I want to take it here, keep your face up, so.
He'd actually make a great teacher. But that's not good enough for Mad Dog. He still wants to be a superstar.
So this Sunday night, pay-per-view, Madison Square Garden, Hell's Bells will toll for you.
Got it. Just not on like last week. I'm sick though, dude.
Mad Dog sent his promo to the WWE, but they rejected him. Again. They said he's too old and not what they're looking for right now.
You know, I want to believe that the world is good, but it's not, and I want to try hard, but why try when you can't win? Those who can't do train, it's just I never understood why I didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, what's the problem with just being like a normal guy? Like, what's wrong with just being normal?
There's nothing wrong with it. Well, actually, there is something wrong with it. The thing that's wrong with it is that I was born to attain greatness, and I'm the only one that's holding myself back, and I need to attain greatness. I need to do it.
You live down by the beach, you have a beautiful wife,
and nothing's ever good enough.
I can only imagine how she feels. And do you ever, you know, think like, why am I dragging somebody else in this?
I know that a lot of times she's crying herself to sleep, and I know that sometimes she doesn't go the way that she did when I first met her. And I know it's my fault, and it really tears me up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I worry every day that what I worry about is you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your wife, and then you're going to lose yourself, you know?
If I lose my job and my wife, what else do I have? I just feel that I have more to offer this world, and I don't know exactly what it is or how I'm going to go about doing it. I know that there's something in here that's meant for the rest of the world to know.
When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, big league ball players, the toughest boxers. Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser.
Smelly is now competing against the best guys in the world, and he hopes to achieve his childhood dream of bench pressing 700 pounds. But he and his wife agreed that this would be his last meet on steroids.
I knew that she didn't really care for it, but I didn't know it hurt her that much, and I didn't know she worried that much about it. It's definitely something that's not going to be easy to do. I don't necessarily want to do it, but, you know, if I just stay on it and ignore her, then it's just being selfish.
He's trying to have another kid, so he decided that this is going to be his last meet that he ever takes anything. How do you think that'll affect his lifting?
It affected somewhat, but once he tapers off and has the child, he can go right back on.
But he doesn't want to go back on him. His wife doesn't want him to be on it at all, ever again.
The death of Smelly.
You think so?
Smelly will go back on.
So you'll never take it again?
I'll never take him again?
Yeah.
No, I probably will take him again because...
How?
This is something... well, I'll figure out a way. I mean, you know, that's something I'll have to talk out with Andy, but this is something I've been involved in powerlifting since I was like 12 years old. This is part of what I would like to do, and I'm not going to go from squatting 800 pounds to squatting 700 pounds. I'm going to want to get back on them for sure.
Which is kind of sad because if you...
Well, you know, a lot of people have to lie to get ahead. That's just kind of the way things work.
I mean, we weren't brought up as cheaters.
Well, I mean, people aren't brought up to, like, rob a bank either. Not really, like, trained to rob a bank or not really trained to do drugs or taught to do drugs or anything like that. But just, you know, kind of the way you end up.
Yeah, come on. Let's go, Mark. Let's go, Mark. Come on. Come on. Big left, come on. Go, Mark. Go, Mark. Come on, you got this. Come on, you got it. Let's go. Come on.
My baby brother is on steroids, and we all know it. But look at us. My dad looks like he won the lottery, and my mom's prayers have been answered. I was raised to believe that cheaters never prosper. But in America, it seems like cheaters always prosper.
The use of performance-enhancing drugs like steroids is dangerous, and it sends the wrong message. That there are shortcuts to accomplishment, and that performance is more important than character.
There is a clash in America between doing the right thing and being the best.
Americans play to win all the time because the very thought of losing is hateful to America.
In a culture where second place is the first loser, the real heroes are the ones who win at all costs.
Everything I have, my career, my success, my family, I owe to America.
This is America. We are the greatest country in the world. You could call us a nation on steroids. But what are those long-term side effects? For me and my brothers, steroids are not the problem. They are just another side effect of being American.